I'm with Ken Kaufman, the president of Aribex Incorporated, which is based in Utah. Aribex recently produced its 10,000th handheld X-ray unit. I want to congratulate you, Mr. Kaufman, on the milestone, on the 10,000th unit. I know the unit was donated and that the company celebrated this milestone. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things you've been doing?
Absolutely. It was basically in a two-phase process for us. First was actually building the 10,000th device. And when we accomplished that as an organization, we got everybody together with friends and family, anyone who wanted to participate, and we went and participated in a 10K race, obviously to celebrate the 10,000th unit. They also had a 5K race and a 1 mile walk for some of the children and those who weren't runners or weren't interested in doing those other races. We have 55 employees. We had a total of 86 participants show up at the race. And during the race, we had 9 of our nomads that participated in either the 10K, the 5K, or the 1 mile walk. So we took them with us, but not the 10,000th because that one was too special. And we had a great time and a great party at this event. We won the Corporate Cup Challenge for having the most participants come to the event. And it was just local. We're located in Orem, Utah, which is just south of Salt Lake City, and a neighboring city to us is Provo, Utah, and it was the Provo Behavioral Health Center that sponsored the event. It's called the Wasatch Wellness Run that they do every year. So we get, for 1 year, we get their Corporate Cup Challenge trophy in our trophy case out in our lobby. And then next year, we'll see if we want to compete again. And then the following week, we had a big catered lunch brought in to celebrate with all the employees and thank them for everything they've done to sacrifice and to help our company to grow and to get to the point where we're at. And then so that was kind of phase one, is to celebrate just the actual building of the device. And then phase two was to select an organization to whom we could donate the device. And we had quite a few debates about, should we sell the device, or should to a dentist and go and celebrate with that dentist, or should we donate it? And I'll be honest, we really had to just decide to donate the device to a humanitarian outreach organization, the Christian Medical Dental Associations. They're known as CMDA, and you can learn about them at cmda.org. They do 43 to 45 humanitarian outreach missions a year to China, Cambodia, all over South America, into Africa, all these amazing places. And we wanted our 10,000th unit to be busy. We wanted it to be put to work. And most importantly, we wanted it to honor our foundation and our heritage, which the whole idea for a handheld battery-powered X-ray came from Dr. Turner, who is a PhD in analytical chemistry and who spent his entire career in X-ray technologies. Him having a conversation with his neighbor, Dr. Vogel, who is a dentist. And Dr. Vogel talking about a humanitarian trip to an orphanage in Russia where they wanted to this humanitarian trip in Russia, where he was frustrated that he didn't have the right diagnostic and X-ray tools so he could take care of the children appropriately. Dr. Turner, working on all these cool things with shrinking the size of X-ray tubes and doing these things, these two were talking and the light bulb went on, and Dr. Turner said, I can create something that would work for what you need. So because that was the genesis of the idea, it made sense for us to donate the 10,000th unit and let it participate in dozens of humanitarian missions a year, something we can keep track of, and our employees will continue to be proud of the fact that, it's so important to us. So we chose not to even sell it. We wanted to give it away and let it go do good with those who desperately need the care.
Well, you just alluded to some of the recipient of the 10,000th unit, but the announcement that came out about this said that the company's roots are based on humanitarian efforts. That the portability of the device is something that encourages use on a service mission. Can you give us an example of the range of service missions that the Nomad is being used on?
Absolutely. My favorite is, and it was because of the pictures that came back to us. And you can go and visit the Aribex.com website. If you look under Access to Care, there's a humanitarian photo gallery. You can get a good feel for all the different missions, but or not all of them, but just kind of a sampling of some of them. My favorite is a humanitarian mission that was done in Panama, where this small tribe that is as primitive in terms of technology and advancements as I think I'm aware of. The group that went down was picked up in a hand-dug-out canoe, and they went on this canoe ride for 4 hours down a river to this tiny little village. The chief of this tiny tribe in this village, and again, these are folks that dental care is just something that they never had access to before. The chief, we have photos of the chief with our Nomad in its hardshell case being carried on his shoulder. He's in a loincloth and nothing else other than a very formal Indian headdressing. And to understand how primitive they live relative to us, and this amazing technology being carried into them, and obviously that there were dental providers that offered their time on a voluntary basis, and a lot of other equipment and tools that were donated to make the trip successful. That's probably one of my favorite images, and it's interesting to note that there are still a couple of states in the United States, there are still some countries that struggle with giving us approval for the Nomad to be used handheld in their states because it's so different than anything that's ever been done. But it's interesting that these children and these people in this tiny remote village were receiving better diagnostic care than in these states and in these countries where they reject the Nomad.
Well, let me ask you this. I know that you take a lot of pride in the humanitarian efforts that have been done with the Nomad, but I know that Aribex also believes that handheld X-ray units have a bright future in traditional dental offices as well. What do you see in the future for Aribex and Nomad on the traditional side of dentistry?
Absolutely. When you think about the contrast of that unit being used in Panama that I described, you'll also find the exact same unit in the finest professional dental offices all around the world. And most, I think, from a big picture perspective, we're planning to get to number 20,000 a lot faster than it took us to get to number 10,000. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that 10 years ago, the concept of handheld X-ray, holding that X-ray source in your hand, was something everybody was uncomfortable with. A hygienist, a dental assistant, even a dentist, they were always instructed to leave the room before they energized the X-ray source for intraoral X-ray. And so the concept that you can hold it in your hand and it's just as safe as using a wall mount unit where you leave the room is starting to get more and more acceptance, and people are as days and weeks and years go by, and as we continue to be a presence in the market, they continue to accept that it's safe. And number two, once they use it, they realize this is a really good way to do intraoral X-ray. I only have to buy one of these. It can move from room to room, and you can do it faster because you don't need to leave the room. The number of retakes is typically reduced, and we have some hygienists reporting back to us that they can do a full mouth series of X-rays in well under 5 minutes. I've heard some come back and that they can get it done in about 3.5 minutes with a digital sensor as the receptor. And so, in terms of what we plan to do, our belief is that as we continue to grow and as people continue to grasp and understand the concept of handheld X-ray, that it can be safe and that it can be as effective and often more effective than other options or other tools that currently exist in the marketplace, we think we're going to continue to gain market share, and you'll start to see the Nomad more prolifically throughout dental offices, professional dental offices in the United States, but then certainly around the world.
Well, Ken Kaufman is the president of Aribex Incorporated. I appreciate his time with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mart.